Detroit just hit the big red button on a pass rush plan that changes the temperature of every pocket in the NFC. North one name, one mission, and a clock that's already ticking. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report. I'm coming in with clean intel, cap-smart context, and football fit you can feel. I'll lay out exactly why Trey Hendrickson is the most violent swing this front office can take right now. What go time really means 3 weeks before the deadline, how the money and draft math line up, what Cincinnati's stance does and doesn't shut down, and how Hendrickson next to Aiden Hutchinson flips third down into our home field. Stick with me to the middle, because that's where the reveal lands. And it's the difference between rumor and a real plan to scare quarterbacks from. Thanksgiving to January. Here's the brief. I'm going to separate fan heat from front office logic. First, the player. Production, pressure profile, age curve. And why his get-off is the exact complement to Hutch. Second, the market. What Detroit can actually pay in picks versus what the Bengals would even listen to, given the new CBA leverage and their record. Third, the money. The revised 2025 salary, what's already been paid by November, how the tag option sits over 2026, and why the one-year rental narrative is only half the picture. Fourth, the football. How Aaron Glenn can deploy a NASCAR front with Hutchinson, Hendrickson, and Alim McNeil. The ripple effect on the back seven. And why this move would change how teams protect against us on early downs, not just third and long. Only at the crescendo do I spell out what's truly confirmed tonight, and what still depends on a phone call in Cincinnati. Let's talk football first, because tape writes the checks. Hendrickson is a problem architect. Long arm to stab and steer, counter inside when the set overshoots, and a gas tank motor that turns second effort into drive-ending plays. He's not a name, he's a plan. Back-to-back seasons stacked with elite sack totals aren't an accident. He lives in the quarterback's lap. Even banged up this month, he's still winning his one-on-ones at a top-tier clip and converting pressures in the red zone. That's the exact flavor Detroit needs opposite Hutchinson. Two edges who don't require designer blitzes to win. With Hutch dictating the slide, Hendrickson sees more true one-on-one sets. With Hendrickson forcing quick hands from the tackle, Hutch gets cleaner counters. You feel that? That's third down math changing before the ball's snap. Now layer fit onto our room. Picture the sub-package. Hutchinson at wide 9, Hendrickson in the other alley. McNeil shaded to bully the A-gap, and a speed package rotating in on 2nd and 8 to steal a passing down. You don't have to send 5. You threaten 5, mud the A-gaps with linebackers to force the protection to declare and drop out late. That frees Brian Branch and the corners to play top down and jump routes because the ball's coming out a beat early. Detroit's pass rush already creates stress. Hendrickson adds inevitability. Think of it as turning our pressure into a schedule. By mid-November, offenses will be coaching to survive second down. Not just third. Money and control, this is where most conversations get lost. Hendrickson's 2025 was reworked at the end of summer into top-of-market cash for this year. By the time we hit the deadline, a chunk of that has already been paid. So any acquiring team deals with the paraded remainder, not the full sticker. The twist is 2026. Cincinnati retained leverage via the franchise tag path. Why does that matter? Because it tells you they don't see him as a true expiring contract. If the Bengals choose to keep him beyond this season, they can. That's why any conversation with them starts expensive. You're not negotiating with a team afraid to lose an asset for nothing. They hold a tag hammer. For Detroit, that means two realities can both be true. The in-year money is manageable, but the pick cost rises because 2026 control exists in the background. Market reality check. For 2 weeks, national pieces have floated the same shape of a deal. A premium pick headline. Think a 2026 second, with a sweetener on day 3. Local lenses graded that kind of swing as an A for the player, but warned about stacking too many edges if the price doubles and the roster has other holes. That's the real question Brad Holmes weighs. Are you buying the last piece or setting the standard that makes every other piece better? In this locker room, with this quarterback and this offensive staff, I'm convinced it's the former. You don't add Hendrickson to chase sacks. You add him to change how opponents call first down. Cincinnati's posture matters. Publicly and privately, the message out of Ohio has been consistent the past 48 hours. Hendrickson is day-to-day on the injury front. The team's still in the hunt, and they're not shopping him. League insiders keep echoing the same refrain, unlikely, and that forces Detroit to play this like chess, not roulette. Translation: you don't wait, and you don't wish. You prepare. You price the package. You keep the line open. If the Bengals hit a skid, if the players' camp reopens the door, if Cincinnati pivots to picks, you're first in line with a clean offer sheet and the cap space ready. That's what today is about. Timeline, because the calendar dictates leverage. The NFL slammed the deadline to Tuesday, November 4th, 4 p.m. ET. That compresses the dance. For Detroit, the window to act is basically the 72 hours before the bell, when sellers finally decide whether they are sellers. For Cincinnati, any win between now and Sunday hardens their no. That's why Detroit's diligence had to be done yesterday. Medicals, SNAP share projections, and contract modeling already mapped, with contingency names on a second page. If you're going to accelerate, you need to know exactly what the rotation looks like the minute he lands in Allen Park. Let me clear the air on risk, because serious moves demand adult talk. Age curve? He turns 31 in December. Edge is a spot where savvy and counter moves extend prime, and his game is built on hands, leverage, and relentless hustle. Health? He's been listed with a hip back issue. You build that into the price and the snap management plan from day one. Control? As I said, the Bengals can tag in 2026. If Detroit lands him, you either push to extend on arrival or view him as a finisher for a 12-game run and a playoff chase, with comp pick math in your back pocket if you don't re-sign. Draft capital? A second plus a sweetener is rich, not reckless. When the return is a top 5 pressure creator who turns your best player into a weekly mismatch. You don't buy lottery tickets in late October. You buy certainty. All right, here's the reveal you stayed for. And I'm going to say it straight. The only thing confirmed tonight is Detroit's posture. The pursuit is on our side of the street, homework done. Parameters set. Green light to engage if Cincinnati cracks the door. The Bengals have not greenlit a trade. Their stance remains unlikely. But in this league, unlikely can turn into done in 3 phone calls if the needle moves. That's why I'm telling you this now, because if that door opens between now and November 4th, the Lions are positioned to sprint through it. Before I close, I want your voice in here. Drop it below right now. If the price is a 2026 second and a late sweetener for a top end closer off the edge, do you press the button and go win January? Or do you pivot to a cheaper rotational rusher and guard your draft board for spring? Talk to me about fit, snaps with Hutch, and what you'd sacrifice elsewhere to make this happen. I read you all and bring your best points into the next video. My view. Clean and concise. I make the swing. Hendrickson in Honolulu Blue isn't a luxury. It's a multiplier. He makes Hutchinson better. He makes the back 7 faster on the ball. And he makes every coordinator on our schedule call plays on a shorter fuse. If Cincinnati never blinks, fine, you pivot to your plan B and squeeze every ounce out of the current front. But if they do, and the number is what I've laid out, you don't hesitate. This is how you turn a good defense into a championship tone setter. If you want this kind of straight shooting, cap aware, film back breakdown all season. Subscribe, hit the like, turn on the bell. And keep riding with Lions News Fan Report updates the second anything moves. And the kind of context that wins arguments at the bar and games on Sundays.